Hello everyone and welcome to the demo of Colony Ship, a post-Earth role-playing game. And it is a turn and party-based RPG. And yeah, let's just jump right in and try it out. It is the year of our Lord 2754. You will never feel the sun's warmth under a blue sky, never hear the wind in the branches of a tree, and never swim in the ocean because you had the misfortune to be born on the ship. You have never seen Earth, and you'll never see Proxima Centauri either. Your past and future both sacrificed by some dim and nameless ancestor to the greater good of the mission. Starfarer, they called her, a pretty name for a retrofitted interplanetary freighter. She had already been 20 years in service when she was rechristened and showing every minute of it. No one is certain the ship will actually reach its destination, and nobody much cares, since no one alive now will live to see it. Fatalism is the prevailing philosophy of the shipborne. Make the best life you can and consign all your what-ifs and might-have-beens to the void. Answer a few questions to define your character's beliefs and opinions while learning more about the ship. Sure. The ship was launched by a neo-Christian conglomerate dedicated to establishing a religious colony on a distant world. The original 50,000 passengers, the so-called first generation, were true believers in the mission. They sacrificed whatever lives they had on Earth and demanded strict obedience to the laws of God and the ship from their children. Oh boy. Unfortunately, the generations that followed lacked their forebears' fervent will to sacrifice. Dissatisfaction led to open revolt against the authorities, called the Mutiny, and the mutiny metastasized into a civil war. While the mutineers dealt a decisive blow to the old order, they did not eradicate it completely. When the fires died and the smoke finally dissipated, three factions emerged from the wreckage of the old order: the Protectors of the Mission, the Brotherhood of Liberty, and the Church of the Elect, each of them promising their own version of the future. You've always thought that rebelling against the ship authority was a mistake. The environment itself is hostile enough to human life, and order is always preferable to chaos. The mutineers did the right thing. Why should the shipborne blindly bow to the edicts of their centuries-dead ancestors? Though they would deny it, the mutineers were fulfilling God's will when they toppled the old order. All shipborne bend to God's will, just as all events proceed according to his plan. Who cares? You've got enough problems right now without fighting over history with a bunch of fanatics. I mean, I do agree to some extent to that one. Because of that, I mean, on a ship, order is better than chaos. And yes, the environment is hostile enough for human life. I definitely don't agree with that. And yeah, I kind of agree with that one too, but let's go for that one. In fact, you would go on to say, how could anyone presume to know better than the Founding Fathers? What was good for them should have been good enough for everyone. No. The ship is a special case which calls for strict measures. The laws established for everyone's safety may have seemed harsh, but they kept us alive and relatively prosperous for centuries. The authorities were wrong. They should have accepted the need for change so that it could happen peacefully and gradually, but waging war within the confines of the ship was pure madness. Yeah. That. The ship suffered extensive damage during the Civil War, but remains operational. The hull was breached in several places, and frantic efforts to avoid a meltdown crippled the main reactor. Radiation increased in places to lethal levels, and several areas remain dangerous to this day. When a small percentage of children in the habitat were first born deformed, they were branded mutants and immediately shunned. The young were abandoned, and those whose defects didn't manifest until later were driven out. With the condition of the fusion reactor degrading to dangerous levels and the number of volunteers for jobs in areas exposed to radiation remaining few, the mutants negotiated a pact with the Habitat, granting them protection from harassment and violence in exchange for their maintenance of the machines and other vital ship systems. You've always thought that the mutants are an abomination in the sight of God. Nope. Immediately no to that one. The mutants prove themselves useful by taking care of the reactors, who's better to be exposed to radiation than those already affected by it. We're all God's children? No. In saving the ship, they save the world as we know it. That debt can never be repaid. If anything, we need to embrace the possibility of mutations as critical to our survival in a strange new world. Yeah? Ostracizing fellow humans based on genetic differences is wrong. Hopefully, our descendants will live in harmony in the future colony. Yeah, let's go for that one. The place you call home is known as the Pit, and to some more affectionately as the Free City. Calling the towers of containers rising from the depths of the cargo hold a city is a bit of a stretch, and so is the other half of it. With no kind of law or government, freedom mostly means you're free to kill or be killed. On the plus side, housing is cheap and keeping overhead low is a priority when you have nothing. The real city, a metropolis sprawling across many decks, is called the Habitat. It offers much better living conditions for those who can afford it, but to live there you have to pick a side among the factions vying for control. Nobody in the Pit gives a damn about their struggles, but like Earth before it, nothing in this world is free. Just keep in mind you might get more than you sign up for. As far as you're concerned, true freedom means being free from laws passed down by your supposed betters. Some kind of rules are necessary, or else we'll descend into anarchy. Yeah. If freedom means living in an interplanetary shipping container and sleeping with a gun under your pillow, these pit dwellers can keep it. Personal freedom is a luxury the shipborne cannot afford. To serve the state is to serve your brother, to serve your sister, and to serve yourself. Why can't people understand that? Yeah, let's go for that one. The ship is en route to Proxima b, an Earth-like planet orbiting Proxima Centauri. After launch, a deep space probe transmitted highly detailed images of the surface, which revealed one minor setback. This very habitable world is already inhabited. Since the voyage is estimated to take close to 400 years, it's possible that by the time the ship arrives, the colonists will encounter a mature civilization corresponding to Earth's late Middle Ages. If that's the case, what setback? Though unanticipated, slaves will provide an excellent resource for the colony? No. We'll make every effort, within reason, to accommodate the savages, setting aside clearly demarcated zones for them to pursue their own lives. Yeah, no. We must make every effort to live in harmony with the New World's native sons and daughters and learn all we can from them. I like that. We will be guests in this new world, living among the local population, accepting their culture and traditions as our own. I'm gonna go for that one. As inevitably happens in dark and challenging times, some people turn to God for reassurance, the promise of an end to pain and hunger, or failing an end, at least a purpose. The Church of the Elect rejected both the protectors of the mission and the Brotherhood of Liberty as worldly fools distracted by politics and their own egos. Teaching their adherents that they were chosen by God, the Church frames the journey of the ship as a centuries-long test of faith. We all face a series of difficult trials, yes, but with a very definite end. When the ship arrives at her destination, Judgment Day awaits every citizen. The righteous will be welcomed by the promised land of Proxima b, while the unrepentant will be returned to the hell from which we fled, Earth, to suffer for all eternity. The way you see it, religion is the opium of the people. It doesn't matter if God exists. People need to believe in something bigger than themselves. Faith has always been mankind's greatest strength and defining trait. We must preserve it at all costs. Honor he who was reborn, and you too shall be reborn into the new world that awaits at the end of our long journey come the dawn. I'm gonna go for religion is the opium of the people. The Protector's one truth is the mission, and the sole way to ensure successful completion of the mission is to follow the old ways. The ways of the fathers, forefathers, and founding fathers are together the beam upon which the ship travels to our ultimate destination, the mutiny, which through their steadfast and timely intervention was thankfully aborted, was the ultimate betrayal of the old ways of everyone who had come before, the nullification of every sacrifice and every life dedicated to the mission. Sworn to regain control of the ship, the Protectors will subjugate anyone who threatens the mission. Over the last century, they have managed to expand their enclave somewhat, but the Brotherhood is deeply entrenched. To overcome them with violence would result in a massive loss of life, an unfortunate consequence which itself would endanger the mission. Instead of embracing the future, the Protectors are clinging to the long-gone past. They're a problem, not the solution. The Protectors should be more flexible if they want to attract more people to their cause. The Protectors are right about one thing: the mission is more important than our petty struggles. If it fails, then all this sacrifice was for nothing. Born and raised on old Earth, the Founding Fathers were wiser than any shipborn, so how can we question the path they've laid out for us? To stay on this path, we must stand with the Protectors. I'm gonna go for that one. It's the most pragmatic one I see. The Brotherhood was formed to liberate the people from the shackles of the ship authority. Their first sally, which the fossils of the old world called mutiny, did not completely achieve its aim. However, the Brotherhood was successful in establishing themselves as a significant power in the new order. Unfortunately, the Brotherhood's subsequent attempts to complete their emancipation of the enslaved, wherever they may be, ran into an unexpected obstacle. Not only did the people refuse to cooperate in this noble mission, they often violently resisted, and sometimes even chose the Protectors or the Church over their own best interests. The war goes on, but will be fought on different battlefields and with different tactics. A non-military campaign to win over the people through reason and deceit, weakening the enemy from within, is the central pillar of this new strategy. To survive, we must evolve, and the Brotherhood is merely an agent of change that drives this evolution. He who fights monsters should look to it that he himself does not become a monster. The Brotherhood did end the tyranny of the ship authority, giving us a choice in how to live our lives. They shouldn't try to take this choice away now. The best slave is the one who thinks he's free. They will thank the Brotherhood later for liberating them. Yeah, let's go for that one. Your beliefs and opinions may change and evolve over the course of the game as you interact with factions, groups, and various individuals. Keep in mind that actions speak louder than words, and that saying one thing and doing another won't fool people for long. Begin your adventure. Chapter 1. The Pit. Ever since you were a kid, this has been your home, a sprawling heap of vacant cargo containers slowly getting filled up with those who couldn't afford to stay in the habitat or needed to get away from its bosses and factions. Out here, folks have lived free and died fast, with those who survive earning their keep by either diving into the wreckage of mission control and bringing back valuable relics of the past, or figuring out a way to make money off the fools who do the diving. From the day it sprang up like a patch of mold on this rich substrate, the pit has been overshadowed by Jonas Redford, the canny, cagey son of a bitch who planted its first spike. The de facto mayor of a town with no government, Jonas holds court in the Promised Land, the pit's only brothel and the base of operations for his network of thugs and whores. But as the pit has grown, Jonas's seat at the top has gotten shakier. When the Brotherhood of Freedom threatened to annex the town, concerned citizens banded together and hired the Regulators, a mercenary gang led by Jeremiah Braxton, to keep the Brotherhood out. But now, as Braxton's gunmen swagger under the neon lights, some folks have started wondering whether it's time for the pit to get a little law and order, and whether Braxton might be the right man to wear a sheriff's star. Interesting. You open your eyes to a gray hull metal ceiling, one panel of which flickers yellow, indicating day shift. You overslept, not that it matters. With a grunt, you roll off your stained mattress and open the window to let some fresh air in. Like everything else around here, fresh is relative. The ship does its best to recycle air and water, but cargo holds aren't high on her priority list. You breathe in metal and burning oil and look up. 4 of the bridge's 6 projectors are still operational, shining dully down on the container towers of Cargo Hold 3, better known as the Pit, the Free City. Calling the Pit a city is a bit of a stretch, but so is calling this reddish-brown liquid water. You've read that water is supposed to be clear, and cities are supposed to be big, but no shipborne has ever seen either. Maybe in another 100 years, water will look and taste like oil, and people will be talking about the good old days when it was the color of rust and tasted refreshingly bitter and tangy. That's the kind of optimism that keeps you going. The elevator crawls up a groove in the cargo hold's wall like a black steel bug that's worn a path traveling to the bridge and back. It's time to get up there and earn a few credits, but first you need a drink. For the last few years, you've been doing odd jobs for Tanner, the local hustler with a nose for making money. He's never tried to screw you over, which is pretty close to being virtuous in this town. Still, there's a first time for everything. Whiskey Jack is added to the map. Meet Tanner in a nearby bar called Whiskey Jack. Don't forget your gun. You never know when it might come in handy. A makeshift shotgun. A backup weapon, perhaps, if you run out of bullets. A camp knife. Alright. Let's get those things. Whoa. That was quick. Inventory. Okay, 1-1. Oh wow, yeah, that's much better. I'm not wearing any protective sleeves, so let's put that on. And I guess we'll put a helmet on. Just in case, you know. Looks silly, but hey, personal safety, you know. I'm going there, right? Let's fast travel. Ah. I've got a job for you, Malachi, says Tanner, gesturing for a drink. Interested? What kind of job? An easy one. Tanner pulls a plastic rectangle from a compartment inside his sleeve and slides it towards you. The card is old and worn. The color has long faded, but the raised print on the front is still as clear as the day it was stamped. A2, that's Armory. Level 2, the holy grail of every scavenger on the ship. During the mutiny, the rebels looted every depot on the first level, but the automated defenses on the second stopped them dead, literally. Those same turrets have dissuaded every scavenger since. Is it real? Is it real? Repeats Tanner, miming a look of disbelief. Son, if you don't have the stones for it, just say so. Don't insult me. Every scav worth his salt has been searching for this card for decades, but you're the one who found it? I have my ways. Tanner's smile reveals stained, uneven teeth. You see, I wasn't looking for a long-lost access card, since I'm not a fool. I was looking for Technical Officer Ulysses Colton. Tanner pauses so you can show your admiration for his savvy. Let me guess, he had the card and you alone figured it out? Not quite, says Tanner. I alone figured out how to find a man who changed his identity and died in obscurity nearly 100 years ago. I have a feeling you're dying to tell me. Tanner pulls a battered energy pistol from his belt bag and passes it to you. This is his sidearm. He changed his name, but he couldn't change the serial number on his gun. Once I found the serial number, the rest was easy. His granddaughter sold the pistol 20 years ago. Inspect the pistol. It's an old, rust-covered energy pistol fastened with tape. Its plasma chamber hasn't seen any action in decades. Are you sure the card still works? Only one way to find out. Tanner grins in an unnerving way. Go see for yourself. When you come back, we'll have a proper conversation. Alright, so here's the big question. Why me? Tanner is silent for a moment, as if deciding how honest he should be. I can't do it alone, and I don't trust anyone else. Keep the pistol. Consider it an investment into our enterprise. It's not going to be an easy trip, so take your time to get ready, you hear me? Do you have any idea what might be there? Whatever it is, it'll be worth a lot of money, Tanner says with certainty. We hold out for the right buyer, and we'll live like kings the rest of our days. I'd feel safer if I had someone to watch my back. Take Evans. I saw him at Abe's store earlier today. The dumb bastard almost shot me. Sounds like the right man for the job. Leave. Okay. Do I have that on my... Ah, yes. Hello, Evans. Being a gunfighter is a quick and easy way to make a living in the pit. All it takes is a gun and some guts. It's also a quick and easy way to wind up dead, but the kind of men drawn to the gun always think they're going to live forever. Evans learned the realities of his new trade the hard way. The first time, Evans got lucky and killed his man as he fumbled his draw. Riding high, Evans called out an old hand who had put 3 bullets in his chest and left him for dead. Lucky for Evans, a stranger patched him up and he survived, but today he looks like a man whose luck has just about run out. Malachi, nods Evans. What brings you to these parts? He asks, his rifle still pointed your way. I have a job for you. A job? Evans pretends to think about it for a moment. Truth be told, I've got a job for you too. All you gotta do is stick around and watch my back while I deal with these thugs. You do that for me, I'll do whatever you need, no questions asked. Deal? What thugs? Jonas sent some gun thugs to harass Abe, he nods at the storekeep. Abe here went to the regulators, but Braxton said he can't spare any men. You and I both know the bastard doesn't want to get involved. So Abe hired me to watch the store, but the son of a bitch didn't say a word about Jonas until I agreed. I'm no coward, but I don't want to go against Jonas alone. He runs this town for Christ's sake. What does Jonas want from Abe? Money. What else? His thugs said everyone who does business in the pit has to pay taxes or pack up and go. I told Abe he should pay, but he doesn't want to listen to reason. If he wants to die, that's his business, but now I'm gonna go down with him. Why did Abe go to the regulators? Beats me. We all agreed to hire the regulators when the Brotherhood started eyeing the pit and getting ideas. Only reason they're still around, now that the Brotherhood's backed off, is to make sure they don't come back. At any rate, their job is to show that we have some muscle. Even if it's a hired muscle, not sort out local trouble. Wait and see what transpires. The gun thugs show up around noon. A man in his 40s who moves with slow confidence and a brash young man eager to get himself killed. "You got Jonas's money?" demands the kid, talking tough. The older man stays quiet, keeping his eyes on you and Evans. "What money?" "You deaf?" asks the kid, spitting on the floor. "Jonas's money. He owns the pit, so it's about time you fucking freeloaders started paying your fair share." "It doesn't have to go this way." "And which way is that?" asks the older man softly. You can see he's been counting heads and running odds while the kid's been talking. "You leaving the store in a body bag." "Might not be me," says the older man, smiling. It's not a good smile. "Are you willing to bet your life on it? On what might or might not happen? That's one hell of a gamble, friend." "You saying we leave empty-handed?" scoffs the older man. You have a feeling he wants a way out. Apparently, the kid gets the same impression. "What are you talking about?" asks the kid. "It's 2 against 2. Hell, I could kill both of them myself." "Think we have a higher chance of that?" I think that's what that means. "And then what? Collecting tax is one thing. Killing folks over it is another. You cross that line and you'll end up dead sooner than you think." "Have it your way," the older man says tiredly. "We're going." The kid tries to protest, but for all his talk, the only thing he shoots is a black look. You gain experience. Wait for them to leave. The door hisses shut behind the gun thugs and Evans breathes a sigh of relief. Then gunfire erupts outside. Go take a look. "What do we do now?" asks Evans, visibly shaken. We have to see it through, I suppose. It's your call. I reckon I'll stick with you until this thing blows over. Welcome aboard! Moment of your time? Yes, Abe? "I don't know how to thank you, Malachi," says Abe, wiping sweat from his forehead. "These ruffians, they would have killed me dead. God knows I don't have much, but I'll give you all I can spare and then some." Turns out Abe could only spare 2 small boxes of ammo, 25 rounds each, but it's definitely better than nothing. "What are you gonna do now?" "Pray for less excitement in my life? What else can I do?" And I'm guessing he moved here for a reason. Didn't you move here from the habitat? You can always go back. Back? As bad as the pit is, sometimes the habitat is 10 times worse. The protectors are all about their mission, and every poor bastard that lives in their enclave has to toe the line whether he likes it or not. They tax you up the wazoo and then expect you to contribute what little you've left to the war effort. They're still talking about war? The protectors have been gearing up for war ever since the mutiny. The Brotherhood's been doing the same, of course. If you ask me, neither side wants to fight, but they've been beating their chests for the last 100 years, so they've no choice but to go through with it. And the church? Waiting on the sidelines to finish off the winner. It's a smart play. Travel to the armory. Leave the store, right? Hello, Braxton. Rumor has it that Captain Braxton once served a higher power, that in the days before his crisis of faith, he was known as Faithful Gunner Jeremiah Braxton among the Church of the Elect. There's plenty of talk about why he left, but as is often the case, no story is more compelling than the others. Backed up by a few like-minded men and picking up more recruits along the way, Braxton left the church and wound up in the pit, where good fighting men are always in high demand. Around the same time, the Brotherhood has started nosing around, eager to establish a foothold here. Braxton and his regulators offered the good people of the pit their services. After much debate, they were hired to drive the Brotherhood's men out, which was accomplished with brutal efficiency. You see Braxton and 2 of his men standing next to the bodies of the gun thugs. "Thank God you're alive," says Braxton, holstering his gun. "When I saw them leaving the store, I assumed the worst." "I thought you didn't want to get involved." "It's not my fight," says Braxton, "but someone has to step in and protect these people. I have nothing against Jonas, but this time he's gone too far." I have my own mission. So yeah, good luck with that. "Wait," says Braxton. "If we move against Jonas, he'll claim that the regulators are taking over and many would side with him. We don't want that. But you're one of them. If you challenge Jonas, people will side with you. They need you, Malachi." "I barely know Jonas, and I don't know you at all." "It's not about me, and it's not about Jonas," Braxton says quickly. "It's about this town. I think it's sinking into anarchy. And what we've just witnessed here is but a taste of what's coming, unless we put a stop to it right now." Tempting? Very tempting. Unfortunately, saving towns costs money, and I'm broke. $250, says Braxton, as a show of good faith. Do right by me, and I will certainly do right by you. Consider me in your employ, Captain. Then talk to Jonas. Put him on notice in front of everyone. Let them all hear what you have to say. Why, won't he know that we're coming? We aren't going to stab him in the back, Braxton says firmly. A man deserves the right to defend himself. Yeah, against me instead of your men. Wait for them to leave. What are you gonna do? Asks Evans. I haven't decided yet. What's your take on it? What's that saying? Better the devil you know than the devil you don't. So there's that. But sometimes I wonder whether that devil's gonna let it all go to hell. Jonas did build this town, but that's as far as he is going to take it. He did a good job keeping everyone on their best behavior at first, back when the pit was more of a camp. But the bigger the town got, the more lawless it became. And Braxton? Braxton. His men do a good job patrolling the decks around the town, but I'm not sure I'd want to see them patrolling the pit and telling folks what to do. If Braxton ends up on top, who knows how far he'd take that law and order thing. Although, probably not as far as the Brotherhood would, so there's that. Because, that's what we signed up for at first, so let's do that one. Among the stars, the children of Earth wish most of all for peace. Nevertheless, the wise prepare for every eventuality. We should not survive long without the means to protect our territory and interests, with violence if every other method is exhausted. To that end, the ship launched with a wide assortment of peacekeeping weapons and armaments, most of it looted and spent during the mutiny and the 100 lesser skirmishes that followed. Let's go. With row after row of gutted depots, the armory stretches before you as a shell of what it once was. The mutineers hit it fast and hard, overrunning the surprised security forces and stripping it of supplies. Weapons and armor meant for the future colony flooded the ship, turning the mutiny into a full-fledged war. The ship authority held its own in the end, keeping control of the lower decks, but at a great cost that went far beyond the armory's lost supplies. Stay alert, says Evans, glancing around nervously. Too many people have disappeared here lately. Figured as much when Tanner handed me that key card. He wouldn't have parted with it if he could make the trip himself. You think the key is real? Asks Evans. Tanner thinks it's real, and he knows these things better than I do. Either way, we'll know soon enough. Either way, let's explore. Can we go? Yeah, we can. Okay. What can we see? Examine the crates. Sure. Too heavy to move by hand. Okay. Okay. Ah. Interesting. Seems to be a creature in there. Huh. What's in here? Control panel. A dust-covered control panel. A few remaining lights indicate that it's still clinging to life. It would take more than a miracle to make it fully operational once again. Replace a dead module. You're rewarded with more lights waking up from their century-long slumber. You still have a long way to go, but it's a start. Check the monitor. Most functions are still offline, but at least you can see them now. If you ever manage to fix this thing, you'd be able to call up a train, provided there are trains left, and use the crane to unload it. Okay, see if you could move that big container over there. It's blocking our way. Ah, nice. The crane comes to life, loudly screeching and protesting as it moves across the ceiling. It grabs the crate but drops it to the floor a few seconds later. No matter, now you can get through. Cool. It was over here, right? Examine the mummified body. Wow. The bionic eye appears to be in good condition, but safely extracting it from the dried up tissue won't be easy. Sure, we can try. There's no way to remove it without damaging it in the process. Well, it was worth a shot. Okay, let's go into this mechanical frog or whatever. It looks like a frog anyway. Several devil frogs are tearing strips of flesh from a long-dead corpse. Judging from the hole in his chest, it was a shotgun blast that did him in, not the frogs. A few years ago, you'd never see frogs outside of hydroponics, but the fungi must have driven them out, and now the mutant bastards skulk about wherever they can find rotting garbage, sometimes of the human sort. Luckily, they rarely attack the living, so if you leave them alone, they'll do the same. Unluckily, they're squatting between you and the dead man's pockets, and they're not likely to move without a fight. Yeah, I mean, he's right there. Well, I guess we'll do a fight. Attack. Place your characters on the battlefield, activate defense gadgets if necessary, and click on Start Combat. Let's make ourselves not stand next to each other, you know? Just in case they have AoE attacks. Hurry to kill your enemies. Yeah, not gonna happen. But yeah, this is the end of my video. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider leaving a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye!